I'm naked.
Hey everybody, welcome to, so you don't know this, Austin, but we have a YouTube channel and we have multiple shows in the channel.
Okay.
So we have Take Back Your Life, which is myself and Liz, and then we have Stuff and Things, which is me and Nathan, and happens to be the name of our team at work. And then we have the it's the Bob Cask, because I like whiskey. So I think this is going to be an episode of the Bob Cask.
Alrighty. I like whiskey, so.
Yeah, we were just at the bar.
All right. Yeah. Got a good old Jack and Coke.
Heck yeah. So, have you ever been on a podcast before at all?
Nope. This is the first time.
Well, so it's not really. Do you call YouTube videos podcasts still? Because like the Joe Rogan Experience is a podcast, but it's on YouTube.
Yeah. See, podcasts are more like a little talk sesh between a couple people, talking about numerous subjects.
So this is more like a show on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So have you ever been on a show before?
Nope.
You're going to blow up out... No, I'm joking.
I've already been there.
I know. That's true. That's true. So I knew... How long have you worked at the dealership now?
Started the last week of July. Hit the sales floor in August, and here we are.
I've known you for quite a while now.
Yeah, a
I've
couple months.
Been over for some fights and...
Oh, yeah.
Old place and new place. You saw the studio. This one, it was downstairs still.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's better up here.
Oh, yeah. I like this environment a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. It's you notice the audio is better too. There's way less echo because the wood's all uneven and stuff. So it winds up working out. Okay, so should we just jump right into the elephant in the room?
Sure.
All right.
We can go ahead and get that taken care of.
I can post up a picture in post production. But you have been seen on the internet by how many people?
Probably at least 100 million.
By 100 million people.
Yeah, multiple different, I guess, like social media platforms. You can actually Google a picture of me
Yes.
and get numerous.
So
numerous
hit pause
results.
and type in, what's the most Googleable term?
You go into Google Images and you type in, "I'm naked under the vape."
Okay. And then you will see a picture of Austin. Were you actually naked under the vape?
Oh, 110%.
You'll see Austin naked under a vape cloud. It's too bad you can't sign people's vape clouds.
Oh, I know. I wish I could, but they disappear too fast. And thank God when I took that picture, it covered everything.
So who gave you the... so you weren't trying to go viral when you did it.
Not at
so
all.
What made you take the picture?
Me and my friends, we were messing around. So I was staying in the... It was right after I graduated high school. I was hanging out with a couple buddies, and every time one of us would go into the bathroom, we'd kind of send like a funny picture to like everybody else that was in the room. Well, I was getting ready to take a shower, and I was like, I got an idea. I got one that'll do them all. And so I got naked right before I hopped in, then I grabbed my vape, and then I just hit it once, blew a fat cloud covering my whole naked body. And took a picture, took only one try, and... I got super lucky, and
So did you Snapchat it to someone? Or?
Yep, it was a Snapchat, and
could you tell when they screenshotted it?
Well, I sent it, and then I hopped in the shower, and when I hopped out, I had the notification of a screenshot, and then I had a notification that I got tagged on Twitter, and after I got tagged on Twitter, I walked out of the bathroom just with like the "What did you do?" face, and I looked at my buddy Seth, and I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Well, there's a picture of me that went viral after prom when I was naked holding a guitar, like Justin Bieber." And I was like, this is not the same thing.
Did it go viral, a picture of him holding a guitar?
No, not at all.
Okay.
And so he thought it was going to be a similar situation. Well, next thing you know, it kind of took off.
Like how many days? Like, okay, so he shared it on Twitter. Did it go viral on Twitter first?
No.
Okay, so explain the process to me.
So the way how it worked.
And how many days it took?
So day one, he posts it. I'm like, hey, you need to take that down right now. And he's like, no way. So a couple days go by. Well, actually, periodically throughout the day, I saw it start to get more favorites and more retweets. And I was like, this is not going well. And then I told him, I was like, hey, when you hit 75 retweets and 200 favorites, take it down. And we finally hit that benchmark like the next day. He took the picture down.
3 days in now?
No, this is just the second day.
Oh,
he took
second
it
day.
down, and then my buddy David had a little little shindig at his house. And I remember waking up the next morning at like 9 a.m. still hungover. I woke up, checked my phone, and I just saw like 5 tags on Instagram. And I was like, oh no. And I went and clicked on it. And all these people that are my friends, known me for, I don't know, past five years prior to that. And so they started tagging me, oh my God, this looks like you. And I'm like, oh shit. and yeah, it just kind of, it took off from there. I ended up messaging the guy that posted the picture, and I was like, hey dude, I don't want my mom to find out about this. My mom thinks that I'm an angel, and she always has, always will. I'm a baby boy.
Apparently she found out, I'm sure.
She did not find out about the picture for a year and a half.
Really?
I hid it from her for that long, and I was terrified of her. I could have, sued the people that made T-shirts of me. And
you have T-shirts made of you?
Yeah. My buddy bought me a T-shirt for my birthday. And so anyways, I woke up. I was tagged on Instagram, messaged a dude. I was like, hey, man, where'd you find this picture? And he's like, dude, it was on my homepage on Tumblr. And I was like, no. I don't know anybody that has a Tumblr. And, yeah, it was on Tumblr. Then I went to Reddit. Actually, I think it went from Twitter. People screenshotted it, posted it on Reddit. Then on Reddit, it went to Tumblr and Facebook. And then it hit Instagram. I even made it onto the Tosh.0 blog.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And then I saw like multiple posts on iFunny, and like every time I saw it, like iFunny was the big indicator on how many views I actually got for the picture. When it got featured, there was over 10 million views alone on just that one site for one posting, and that was only like the first of thousands.
That's hilarious. So I was thinking about this because we have a friend, Chase, mutual friend that raps. You guys should totally do like a collab.
Like
he should like be in a music video, you dancing around with vape clouds, and him rapping over top of it.
Just running around naked.
What was his line? Was it my bitch, female Jason Statham, your bitch look like a potato? Do you remember that?
Fire.
So I'm sure he can come up with something clever.
Oh yeah.
That was you were here that night. We were listening to that over and over.
Yeah,
again,
it was after the during the UFC fight.
I think I embarrassed him a little bit.
Yeah, he turned bright red.
Yeah, it's a great line though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what does a female Jason Statham look like? Bald and muscular.
Kick you in the face if they wanted to.
So you figure over 100 million? You said
Easily.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts. So have you done anything to capitalize on it at all?
No. I dropped the ball on that one, but that was all because I didn't want to disappoint my mother.
Remember the guy a while back, Neck Guy, who had like the big neck?
Yeah.
He kind of tried to capitalize on his 15 minutes, and I think he's in jail right now or something like that. And then do you see there's a skinny neck guy too who was and they did a collab.
Yeah, they were doing little videos together.
That's what I'm saying. What was Chase's rap name? Oh gosh, what is it? It's hilarious too. I cannot remember for the life of me right now.
Young C. Hizzle? I don't know.
Young C. Hizzle. No, it was SCOBY.
Oh.
And you know what a SCOBY is?
No idea.
So when you make kombucha tea, like kombucha you could buy, it's made with the bacteria. So what happens is, I know this because I used to make it. You brew tea, and then you get this thing called the mother bacteria. And it sits and covers the top of the whole jar of tea, right? You want it to be big enough to sit and cover a large portion of the top of that. And it ferments your tea. And then every time you make a batch, it grows a new SCOBY, which is the new mother thing. So if you make like 5 or 6 batches, it got overwhelming. I have all these different like bacteria things floating around my house, and nothing to do with them. So I end up like putting them down the drain. Then I feel bad. I'm like, oh, I'm just wasting this bacteria. But he used the name SCOBY as his rap name, and that's
because he's a bacteria.
Yeah.
He's infectious to your ears.
So yeah, I always thought that was clever. And what's funny is everyone like found out that was his rap name. I was like, what is that? What is that? And I'm the only one that knew. And like, how do you know that? I'm like, I lived in Ballard, all right? I used to go to the farmer's market, and I bought my SCOBYs from a lady with dreadlocks and armpit hair.
There you go. That's always a good find.
Absolutely. Have you ever been to a farmer's market?
Oh yeah, there's the one downtown Puyallup that I always go to.
Oh yeah, you go. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting you live in Puyallup.
Yeah.
So yeah, my grandma lives in Puyallup, and I've been to that one downtown. The one in the U District was, in my opinion, the best. And they're actually in North Carolina. They had a massive one that was the size of it. You're not getting naked when you blow that, are you?
No, unless you want me to.
They had a giant one that was like in a almost like an indoor like horse arena or something that looked like in North Carolina. I used to go to all the time. But yeah, that's pretty hilarious. 100 million views. So how are you liking the car business?
I honestly love it. I've always been a car guy. I started out like racing go-karts, or I wouldn't quite say racing, but I started driving go-karts at a very young age. My uncle got me into it. He was the one that had the go-kart. Anytime me and my brother, we'd go over there, we'd go over to the school right down the street. We'd just race it around the loop. And we did that for years. And my uncle, he has a 57 Chevy Bel Air. And that's what really got me into cars. And then he's also got a 69 Chevelle.
Oh, wow.
And then a 1963 Impala.
That's awesome.
And so that's kind of what started everything. And then first time I actually drove a car, I was probably about 6 or 7. And then just started driving at a very young age. Then I got my permit.
You were into dirt bikes too, right?
Yep.
How long did you do that for?
I always asked my mom for a dirt bike. Like, that was my biggest thing growing up. My idol growing up was Travis Pastrana. Then a couple years later, I found out that we had the same birthday, and I was like, this is even cooler. And I was begging my mom for a dirt bike for years, and she's like, no, it's too unsafe. You're going to hurt myself. And finally, I think I was a junior in high school, I got my first dirt bike. And fast forward till the end of graduation, that's when I got my first injury. I dislocated my shoulder, and that was the first of many times. And that happened in August. So August was a very eventful month after I graduated. That's when the picture went viral. I was hanging out with my buddy Seth. Like, we'd always go to the track together. We'd go to Pacific Raceways. I was a terrible rider, and still not that good. But I think if I had a better bike, I'd be a lot better.
That's always how it goes.
But now it's just that I got to worry more about my health. So after I dislocated my shoulder, I've always been a person that's just like, no injury can stop me. I'll just power through it. You fall, you get back up. And blew up my shoulder. Then it was in November, I slid out on my dirt bike. And I put my leg down and I fell on top of it with my bike. I tacoed my knee, my ankle came up and touched my hip, and I tore my MCL and my PCL. And then that kind of stopped my whole riding phase. Like, it didn't put me on a complete stop. I ended up riding, I think I hopped back on a bike in January.
So that's why I always like quads. They seem more stable. But I've been in some pretty bad accidents on quads too, so it still happens.
See, I can get down on some quads.
Yeah.
Quads are fun to rip.
Well, you know, so here's what happened to me. We're out by Belfair, like out past Belfair, this little area called Maggie Lake. And I was following some guys who are really good at riding it, and I'm okay at riding quads, but by no means like an expert.
Yeah.
And we're going on this really skinny trail, so there's like this hill, then the trail, and then it goes downhill, right? So you're on this trail, like this ridge on the side of this hill. And this guy's smashing, and I'm trying to keep up with him. I'm second in a line of like 6 of us. And coming around the corner, and there's a root growing in the path. And it grabbed the wheel and ripped the handlebars out of my hand. When I grabbed him back, I ghost throttled.
Oh, that's always fun.
And I launched off the downhill side of the cliff. And all I remember was thinking is like, I was on a Polaris like 800. This thing's a tank, right? I'm like, yeah. I got to get away from this. If we land, it can squish me and kill me. And let alone I don't know, it's probably a couple hundred feet to the ground. So I just remember pushing off in the air. And there was like a tree growing out, and I hit the top of the tree and slid all the way down and landed at the base of the tree about 30 feet down the hill. And the quad landed on another tree. There's only like 5 or 6 trees, and we happened to land on 2 of them. Landed on another tree about 20 feet away from me, about 10 more feet down. And I had the wind knocked out of me, and I was bruised and banged up, but I legit could have died. So, I was like, okay, this isn't the worst thing. But then I'm stuck on the side of this hill, and I could walk up the side, but we're like, how are we going to get this monster quad up this hill? No one wants to ride it up. You're pretty steep, and you're on a ridge on the side of the hill. So what we wound up doing was someone had some rope with them. I wound up crawling over to the quad, tying a rope around the top of it, put it in neutral, tied the rope around the handlebars, and looped it around a tree. So the rope was going up around a tree, then on a quad. So the quad just slowly inched forward and pulled it up. And then after that, I'm like, you know what? Like, kind of like you, I'm like, I could have died. Like, I probably, like, I'm not good enough. Like, why am I really doing this? I'd rather be sitting by the campfire drinking with my family right now. So then I just kind of gave up on riding quads. It's not something I loved. It was fun, but it wasn't fun enough for me to, like, I had been in a couple other incidents before that too, where I was some really close calls. So, like, I was riding out here in Enumclaw, some high grass, and I kind of went over this little jump, hit it hard, and then I hit there was like a frame of a truck just laying in this tall grass that I landed on, and it ripped the back end of the quad off, and I went flying and smashed myself. So I'm like, I'm done. So
similar situation. You said you fell off, like you fell off a hill on the quad. Back when in 9th grade, I went to church camp, and we did so many cool activities, and one of the things was mountain biking. So we went mountain biking, and we're on these switchbacks. There were like 5 switchbacks back to back, and so it just went up the side of this cliff, and they're all pretty steep in between each level. Well, at the very top, the pathway was just like washed out, kind of, and I was like, that might hurt somebody, and so like we ended up keep on riding. Well, on the way back, everybody's going slow, and so I kind of slowed down and started going a little slow and cautious to make sure I didn't fall. Well, the bike was too tall for my legs, and so I couldn't touch the ground, so I was like swimming, and I went to go over that little crevice, and as I went over, I ended up going too slow, and so I tried to swing with my right leg to catch myself, and I fell over and ended up falling off the cliff, and I actually landed in a tree.
Yeah.
And so I got a little hole in the side of my knee.
So the only thing, like jiu-jitsu is what I keep doing in spite of getting hurt but it's weird because I usually don't get hurt from jiu-jitsu, but jiu-jitsu exposes my injuries. But also there's this weird thing where the better you get at jiu-jitsu, the less susceptible you are to injuries, and the better people you train with, the less susceptible you are. So like that's kind of how I justify it to myself. I'm like, all right, I've hurt myself and like made those injuries worse from training, but I'm getting way better, and the people I'm training with are getting way better, so I'm way less likely to get hurt.
See, like, but you don't have to justify it by that because it's a passion for something that you want to do.
Oh, for sure,
So,
but have you seen me get up from this chair at work before? Yeah. So it's like at what point I'm like, I got an inversion table, I got all this stuff, but it's you can only do so much.
Yeah.
So you've been selling cars since about August now. You've had a couple pretty good months in there as well. It's kind of it's a different kind of thing, huh? It's like you're responsible for your own success.
Yeah.
It's essentially like running your own business. Well, you have a support system from the dealership, but I mean by running your own business is there's no one ever really micromanaging you.
Yeah.
It's up to you to make yourself successful.
You are your own boss, but you always got the man upstairs.
Yeah. I think that's probably true about anything, because even when you run your own business, you still got the tax man on your back.
Yeah. You always got someone monitoring everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially your money.
Yeah, absolutely. There's that meme out there. It's like, well, how much tax do I owe? And it's like, I don't know, guess. What if I get it wrong? You can go to jail. This is the government talking to you. So, but yeah, it's the characters that car sales attracts, me included, are a different breed, a different kind of bunch.
Oh yeah, well everybody needs a car, so you just gotta be the right person to sell it to them.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's a traditional like 9-to-5 style thing. You know what I mean? We put in some long hours.
Yeah, there's the occasional day where you're supposed to get off at a certain time, and then you got an appointment a couple hours after you get off. You're like, well,
let's stay for that money.
I'm gonna bite the bullet, and I'm gonna try to capitalize on it.
Well, it's even harder for me when I live 5 minutes from the dealership. It's hard for like I can't justify saying no. So, oh yeah, I'll come in on Thursday, my day off. I'm like, yeah, I can make some money. I'm like, all right, what time are you gonna be in?
Yeah, for me, it's
a little bit longer trek for you.
Yeah, it's about an hour, 45-minute drive with like mediocre traffic, not a whole lot, but so it's kind of out of my way. But if it's the right deal and if I built a good enough rapport with the person, I will always make it in to sell them the car.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, and it's good to have like teammates, you can count on. They're going to take care of your customers too. So I never thought I'd be doing this. With my last job, I was just, I worked for the same company for 12 years before this, and then I hopped on here, and largely because Tyson, because I trust him and he's a good guy. So I figured if I was going to do it for anybody, it may as well be for him. But because you started in August, so you were like exactly. I started on September 16th, the year before that. The previous year.
Yeah.
So, I was had a good 10, 11 month head start on you there. But I had been doing sales and customer service before, so it probably wasn't as big of a transition for me as it is for some people.
Yeah, for me, I've never had a sales job, so.
I was all the way back old school, like Circuit City.
Oh, okay.
I handled. You know what the hard job was? I handled inbound customer service calls for Verizon Wireless. So whenever someone would be upset about something or their equipment wasn't working properly, I'm the person they called. That was a tough job.
My first phone I ever got, I think I was in 5th grade. It was a Verizon Wireless little flip phone. It was pearl white.
The Razor?
No, it wasn't a. It was like some shitty little like
Is it even
flip
color?
phone. It was, so I'd probably say like about that big, and then you
wow.
flip it open and it just had like a pearl white case and it said Virgin Mobile on it. And I remember I got like 20 minutes.
Oh,
Or
prepaid.
like, yeah, it was prepaid. So I got like a $20 little card or whatever for it. And do you want to know what I bought? My first ringtone, White Nerdy. That's when that song was popular.
Hilarious. Offspring, right?
Yep.
So I remember, here's how old I am. I had a pager.
Oh.
When I was, before cell phones. And then I had a Nextel phone with a 2-way radio, like bleep bleep, and you could like talk to folks. So it was like all the construction people had them. I had the first color phone Verizon ever offered. Back then we had like Motorola and LG were like by far the best phones you could get. Yeah, it was old school. I was working at Circuit City when the first plasma came out. Like TVs can be flat. We had no idea, and it was like for a 42 inch, it was like $10,000.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was good. So I remember when those came out. Like the best picture you can get back then was still on an old like glass tube TV, like with the big back. That was the best picture you can get back then. And then like now plasmas and that one I have downstairs, that Samsung was it 55 or 60 inch like 4K TV was like $340. Like back then that wouldn't get you anything.
Oh yeah, that'd get you a little 19-inch square.
Dude, they used to have like kitchen TVs you'd mount under your cabinet, and they were like these like super like tube TV that would mount under your cabinet. But yeah, that's how long I've been doing sales for.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's old school. So Verizon customer service and Circuit. I sold furniture. Sold waterbeds.
Waterbeds are always the only person I've ever known to have a waterbed was my grandma, and I remember this because I was like maybe between the years of 8 and 10, and I remember I like ran and jumped onto her bed. She got super mad. She's like, "You're gonna pop it!" I was like, "What?" And I'm like, just floating around in it.
My parents had a waterbed that I popped when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah. You could buy patch kits back then. You have to drain it. Yeah, it was moving waterbeds is a hassle too. But that so we sold waterbeds at National Furniture and Bedrooms is where I used to work, and then I worked for a company that actually specialized in moving waterbeds. So if you had to move and you had a waterbed, we're the people you would call. And we just had a pump and a hose that you'd shove in the toilet, and you'd pump all the water out and just pump it into the toilet. You have like a shop vac you'd hook up to it, like an attachment you hook up to it, and it like air like suck all the air out of it and make it flat, or you can roll it up.
Yeah, I was about to ask, how do you even move a waterbed? Like
the hard part wasn't the draining, that was easy. The hard part was waterbed frames, dude. They were elaborate. There was like complete wall units that are built into this like Coke mirrors on the nightstands you could pull out and, like
ready to party.
Yeah. It was ridiculous, and we moved those. JB Service is who I worked for when we did that. So yeah, it was but then after I did that for a while, I got hired on to the last job I had before this, and worked for them I had a little bit of stability, a 12-year run, which I think is pretty good. From like 25 to 37 is when I or 24 to 36 is when I worked for those folks. So
yeah, I'd like to make this a pretty good run here at gambling.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, people can always come see us.
Yeah. Come on down.
All you people out there in YouTube land.
Yeah, all my fellow friends. I know I got a lot of you. And I know a lot of you guys need cars, so
Yeah, and hey,
hit your guy up.
trying to get 100 followers on YouTube. Shameless plug here. Like and subscribe and send to folks, and maybe I'll have Austin on again sometime.
Yeah, I'm always down for.
I want to build a table here that could fit 3, because right now we're kind of just side by side. But I figure I can get like an angle flat and then another angle, so 3 people can sit and we can actually all chat. So because I got enough mics, instead of this board will handle 16 mics, so I always thought that would be fun. Have a critter on, or what an interesting conversation.
Hey brother, how you doing?
Yeah, exactly. So we should talk real quick. We got team. You're not on my team. You're the captain of the opposing team.
Yeah.
Oh. So we have a team competition going on here at work, and Austin's the captain of the opposing team. So.
And we're gonna dominate.
Maybe.
There's no maybe about it. We are so stacked because I took advantage of being against the new guy. I had an absolutely terrible month last month, and then they're like, "You're team captain." I was like, "Oh," and
so that means you have to lead. That means you gotta beat Mr. Been selling cars for 30 years and Mr. in the family. Wow,
Wow.
Sell some new cars and double the points. So, anyway, all right, we should sign off. I appreciate you coming out, Austin.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Google naked under this vape cloud and go to your image search, and you will find Austin. And I'll probably post a picture of it up like right here.
Yeah, do you want to know what's the best part about that? I'm naked.
All right, thank you guys. Catch you next time.
I'm naked.